Second down. He keeps it. He throws it. And he's got a touchdown. 𝐬𝐳 Jackson hits Kari Lee for 6. Tamu on the keeper makes a move. And I don't know. The spot is short. He did not get there. What a stand by DC. Okay, it's blocked. It's blocked by Furman. Picked up. Celestine rumbling inside the 5.
Hey, Davey, I'm back to show.
What's going on, football fans? This is the XFL show, and this is a post-game recap of the DC Defenders' awesome victory over the St. Louis BattleHawks, 15-6. This is Bryant.
And this is the deep thought-having chess aficionado, Alan. I enjoyed watching Bobby Fischer, a.k.a. Pep Hamilton, do his thing in D.C. today, Bryant. What a masterful, an exquisite moment for the human mind.
Alan, you're alluding to what I'm thinking, and that is that Pep Hamilton is the MVP of the DC Defenders.
Oh, he was. This game was all Pep. I mean, we're going to go through some stats like we normally do in these recap shows, I'm sure, and that some players stepped up. Darrell Presley was great running for 107 yards, but the fact that Pep Hamilton really just took the reins over of this offense and took Cardale Jones out, said, I'm not going to let you make mistakes anymore. I'm going to put in 𝐬𝐳 Jackson, and I'm going to handcuff him in terms of letting him throw the ball only when I need him to. And I am going to allow 𝐬𝐸 to go down to the field from the booth, and in a moment that he's been waiting for, coaching against his old friend Jonathan Hayes, have that defense ready to go. This was masterful game planning. It was masterful in-game coaching. Pep Hamilton, 𝐬𝐸, the entire staff of the DC Defenders today, I think, saved DC's chances at being the best team in the East in terms of winning that number 1 spot. They're atop it now. They have beaten the BattleHawks. They have beaten the Guardians, and this was a monster victory and a great job by the coaching staff. Now, with that said, this defense came to play. The players also were awesome. Anthony Johnson was great, and just everybody who was dialing up blitzes on Jordan Tamu and all those 4th and 1 stops in the fourth quarter, Bryant, the defense gets the game ball if you're giving one away for this one.
Well, Alan, you said it. I mean, defensively, the DC Defenders came to play. Anthony Johnson looked great. He had some silly offsides where he was trying to jump the gun a little bit there, but regardless, the DC Defenders came to play. Your defense has to, and your running game has to be great. When your pass game generates less than 50 yards total. I think it was 39 by 𝐬𝐳 Jackson coming in the first quarter.
Saying the offense for the DC Defenders did just enough is almost a little too complimentary. I mean, they ran the ball and they had some big chunk plays, but this is not an offense that you could go out there week to week and win with. Now, the BattleHawks shot themselves in the foot a lot with some penalties. The offensive line just, I don't know what was with them today. They were kind of getting bullied. They weren't ready to pick up any of the blitzes that you saw. Tamu and Kristen Michael were having words. I don't think they were on the same page in terms of protection in the backfield either. So that threw them off. But the offense that they ran today in DC was for this game, for this moment, and it was just enough, I guess. But that cannot carry over. They have to figure out what they want to do. I'm sure Pep is really going to have a lot of fun game planning this week because he gets to, pretty much figure out from square one who his quarterback's going to be, which is not the best scenario in week 6, but the fact that you can win a game with both guys it bodes well, especially with what they can do at home. And that beer snake, Bryant, I mean, the beer snake, as soon as that thing got, I think, about at least like 20 feet high, that's when business really picked up for the Defenders.
Well, I mean, that was a story. We'll get to that beer steak and how I feel about that maybe on Tuesday's show because I really don't want to talk about it right now. Alan.
Well, I guess you just kind of told us your feelings on it. You might be the only one in America who doesn't love the beer snake, brother.
So, including Oliver Luck, that's very true. Post-game, real quick, Alan, because I want to talk about the fact that Cardale Jones threw 1 interception and was out. Out in the first quarter, really didn't give any leeway. But then you bring 𝐬𝐳 Jackson in, that's what Pep Hamilton did. And either that was his game plan, like you said, was to run the ball the entire time, or he felt like 𝐬𝐳 couldn't throw the ball and he had to run the ball. I don't know what the DC Defenders are going to do next week, and I don't think Pep Hamilton knows what they're going to do next week, but it sounds like that's how they're going to go on through the season. They're going to analyze these teams and try to figure out how to beat them rather than how to win the game themselves with their skill.
Yeah, you got a game plan. You got to have, if you have handicaps, your coaching needs the game plan around that. And that's why you got to give the game ball to Pep Hamilton and his coaching staff. They figured out how to attack St. Louis. On defense, they figured out how to take away, the any kind of real aerial attack, although there were some drop balls. They survived, some gashes in the run game, but really loading up in the box and playing tight coverage. Somehow, some way, this defense held St. Louis to 6 points. I honestly still don't know how that happened. Jordan Ta'amu, didn't really make mistakes. He was kind of under duress all day. And really what this boils down to is they got pressure, and that's what you have to look at. For 4 sacks, Anthony Johnson, you said silly time and blitzes. I think that was just part of what he had to do, and that was the give and take you get. You're trying to get off the ball right on time, and you're trying to get that advantage, and he was offsides a couple crucial plays, but outside of that, he was also getting after Ta'amu, and that whole defensive front was tremendous today. I mean, 2 big 4th down stops, Brian, in the 4th quarter. Jonathan Celestin was killing it on special teams and defense tackles on those 4th downs. You had the guys up front with Tracy Sprinkle, 𝐦𝐤𝐥𝐢𝐚. I mean, that front is out of nowhere just a totally different story. Maybe it's because they were at home. I don't know. Last week I was bashing these guys. They looked feeble, weak, couldn't tackle, couldn't look stout, and they were the complete opposite of that today. So for me, someone who called them out last week, I will be the first to stand up and clap for them and acknowledge that they played a hell of a game.
Football fans, I'm here at Dignity Health Sports Park getting ready for the Wildcats Tampa Bay game, so excuse the noise here in the background. But Alan, you're right. Here's my problem with the DC Defenders, and we'll get to the St. Louis BattleHawks here in a little bit. But the DC Defenders are leaving this game with no confidence from me. I don't know if that matters to them. It probably doesn't. But they're still looking like a team that doesn't know what they're going to do week to week, just as they did week 3 and 4. So I'm not sold on this team. Yes, they're in first place. Yes, they beat the 2 teams behind them that sit at 3 and 2 with them, but the DC Defenders have a lot of question marks still left, at least for me. Alan, on the St. Louis BattleHawks side, though, Jordan Ta'amu had a Jordan Ta'amu type game. It's just that the run game wasn't there for the other running backs. The defense didn't have the greatest game, had some stupid penalties.
They had a lot of drops.
Hurt them as well.
They had a lot of drops, too, by their receivers and tight ends.
Yeah, and the special teams got a big block there for the DC Defenders towards the end of the game. They couldn't cash it in to really seal this game. Still left St. Louis with a little bit of hope. But then at the end, the DC Defenders really just did what they did, and the St. Louis BattleHawks couldn't stop them with that in the last 2 minutes of the game. So I'm still left with questions on the DC Defenders, but I think the St. Louis BattleHawks don't really have much to worry about. They just got to tighten it up again. They had a bad game. Everybody has a bad game. I don't think Jordan Ta'amu had a bad game. That's a good sign for the BattleHawks going forward. Yeah,
they really just kind of had a kind of a stinker in terms of production on offense. They moved the ball somewhat, but getting it into the end zone, having to rely on field goals, and even against teams with quarterbacks who could hardly throw the ball, like DC went out there with today, 2 guys who couldn't really throw the ball. You're still going to be behind the 8 ball, and you're putting yourself behind. 4 for 16 on 3rd down 2 for St. Louis, so they could not stay on the field. DC couldn't stay on the field either, but they got the timely 1st down conversions using that 6'7" frame of Tyree Jackson in this game as well.
The 2 big scoring plays for the DC Defenders was that touchdown that started at the St. Louis BattleHawks 45 because of the bad kick that didn't make it all the way to the 20, and then you had the block punt that they got, that field goal to make it a 9-point game towards the end with, I think, under 5 minutes to go. So really, the St. Louis BattleHawks have, I'm not worried with them is what I'm trying to say here. They had some stupid mistakes. A DC Defenders team that was well prepared. The DC Defenders have to go to the Battle Dome later this season, and that'll be an interesting game because I think first place will probably be on the line again of that game. So a lot being said, I think, about the DC Defenders planning, and enough being said about the BattleHawks' ability to be the BattleHawks. I think they just got to figure it out, and they'll be fine. I don't expect DC to actually be in first much longer than next week.
Yeah, this is not going to sit well with any DC Defenders fans listening to this recap, but I think we both came out of this game, not impressed by DC. I mean, we both. I'm
impressed by Pep Hamilton.
I'm impressed by Pep Hamilton
with his coaching,
he
did in weeks 1 and 2. Totally saw what we saw.
I'm impressed with also just the team's ability to bounce back and compete and show up after embarrassing losses. But when we're talking about, for the grand scheme of things, I'm with you, Bryant. The St. Louis BattleHawks, playing a bad game, still feel like they had opportunities to win. And DC just, with 250 yards on offense, 56 yards, pulled this one off. Going forward, you have to think, well, the team that knows who their quarterback is, I like their chances better. But then again, Pep Hamilton is something special when it comes to in-game adjustments and game planning. This win is totally his, and it's all about the W's, so we must give it up to the DC Defenders. They pulled it off with a 9.1 score victory over St. Louis. Again, I felt like we were close to an overtime, but we did not get it. Maybe next time.
Alan, I'm just more happy because my preparation is coming back now.
I don't know about that. This was preparation, but I don't think that one's gonna stick. It's all about that beer snake, baby. And it sounds like you guys are getting ready there in LA. So should we be winding this thing down? Because I'm getting in game mode. I'm hearing them play all that music behind you, and I want to jump up and down. What else we got to say about this one, though, in DC?
Nothing about this one. Just looking ahead real quick, St. Louis will be traveling to Tampa, another road game for them, and the DC Defenders will be hosting the Dallas Renegades, a team that is questionable at quarterback, just like DC. I'll get out of here, Alan, because it's getting pretty loud. That's it. We'll be back here for the last game of the weekend for Week 5 when the Tampa Bay Vipers visit the LA Wildcats. Well, that's it. For Alan, I'm Bryant. This is the XFL Show. Remember, they're listening.